What's up, Big Ten fans? Michael Dugan here from internsbig10.com. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy belated Thanksgiving to everybody. It's rivalry week. It is rivalry week, and we have the first game kicking off Friday morning. That is Nebraska versus Iowa. Iowa single-digit favorites in here. It's in Kinnick. If this were in Lincoln, I might honestly lean towards Nebraska, but I think Iowa picks up this win. They move to 8-4 on the season. That's a good win for the Hawkeyes. I think they picked that one up on Friday. Indiana, Purdue, I've gone back and forth with this one. I don't know. I think Purdue, Indiana, first of all, does not have an answer for Rondale Moore. I'm very curious to see how Tom Allen draws up some schemes to try and stop him, because right now they don't really have an answer. That defense has a lot of holes on it, and it's kind of gotten worse as the season's gone on. Offensively, I think Indiana's starting to figure things out a little bit, and Purdue as a whole is a little bit on a downslope, and Indiana is on an upslope. So I like the Hoosiers in this one, actually. This is going to be, the spread right now is 3.5. If it were up to me, I would have probably put Purdue 6.5. So I think Vegas always knows something that we don't. I've got Indiana winning this one, and they're taking back the bucket and getting back to a bowl game after Purdue did this and ended Indiana season last year. Illinois, Northwestern, I've got the Cats. They'll roll over in that one, win by 14, 17 points. Illinois is really not that good. They moved to 4-8 on the year. I think that's it for Lovie Smith. I don't know how it's not. I'm going to save Michigan, Ohio State for later. Maryland, Penn State. I've got Penn State by a touchdown. I think this is going to be extremely close. Maryland, a little bit of a hangover from that Ohio State game, but Ohio State's got similar holes that Penn State does on that defense. So Anthony McFarland and Tyrell Pigrome, I think those guys from Maryland are going to be able to make plays. I think this is going to be a really close game. If this were in Maryland, I'd probably take the Terps, but I've got Penn State by a touchdown. It's going to be really close, I think. Minnesota, Wisconsin, man, is this tough. Let's get Rutgers, Michigan State out of the way, actually. I've got Michigan State. Poor Chris Ash, man. He's just, I don't know what's going on there. Troy and I will address that after the season if he's still there. So I've got Michigan State there. Wisconsin is 11-point favorite over Minnesota. I've got the Badgers in this one, but I feel like Minnesota could pull it off. Wisconsin's the 11-point favorite, which is kind of what turns me away from picking Minnesota a little bit, because Vegas always knows, and Minnesota is pretty hot right now. Wisconsin doesn't really have anything to play for. They're already going to a bowl game. Their season's already a complete and utter disappointment. I've got Wisconsin 24-21 in this one. I think Minnesota can hang around a little bit. If this is a shootout, Minnesota wins. I just don't think Wisconsin's defense lets this get to a shootout. So I've got Wisconsin by single digits, one possession game, and then the big one, Michigan, Ohio State. Michigan, 4.5-point favorites. That spread has gone up since it opened. This game in Columbus, obviously. This is so tough for me. I don't know who to pick. I've gone back and forth all week, and I'm going to figure this out as I talk. You guys are going to watch me figure this out and sell myself on who's going to win. So, to me, I think Michigan's defense is stout enough to slow down Ohio State, because this Buckeye offense has shown at times that they're not dominant. They're not as dominant as they have been in the past. They've had moments where J.K. Dobbins can't find the hole, where Dwayne Haskins can't find an open receiver. He overthrows him. But at the same time, they're a play away from clicking, and they needed to drive against Maryland last week, and they did. Granted, Maryland's not that great, and that stadium was half full of Ohio State fans, and that no one was playing defense in that game, but they needed to drive during that final drive and create something, and they did, and they executed that drive absolutely perfectly. So this Ohio State team all season has been wildly inconsistent by Ohio State standards. Michigan, on the other hand, that defense was exposed a little bit against Indiana at times. Now, overall, it was a good performance from the Michigan defense. I'm not saying they, fell flat or anything, but that Michigan defense was exposed at times against Indiana, and Indiana doesn't really pose a huge threat to most defenses this year. So, and offensively speaking, they're not going to make a whole lot of mistakes, but if they do, that's going to swing the game. Shea Patterson doesn't really turn it over, and Michigan holds the ball for a long time because they don't hurry up that quick. They don't really play hurry-up offense. So I'm going with Ohio State. I'm going to go with Ohio State at home. It's going to completely shake up the college football rankings. Not surprised if Michigan comes out and wins this game by double digits. And if that's going to happen, it's going to be because Ohio State just can't figure it out. This is under the assumption that they're going to figure it out for this game and cause absolute mayhem in the rankings. My head says Michigan. My heart says Ohio State. Just because it's rivalry week. In the last couple of weeks of the Big Ten, we've seen a couple of teases, but nothing that big. And I think that an Ohio State victory, it can happen because this team is extremely talented. But I just think that they've got this in the bag. I think something crazy has to happen, right? It always does, and in the Big Ten in November, it always does, and it hasn't happened for a long time. It hasn't happened for maybe a month. So here we go, Ohio State. All right, guys, let's have some great football this weekend. We'll talk to you guys Monday.